Hey, welcome. Today we're going to be doing a review and installation of some handguards for my 2019 YZ250F, so stick around. Welcome to Rough Riders. If this is your first time stopping in, thanks for checking out my channel, and if you're a regular subscriber, welcome back. About 3 weeks ago, I bought a 2019 YZ250F. Now, if you know anything about dirt bikes, you know that's a great MX bike, but it's not ideally suited for trails, and an old guy like me is just, I'm too slow to hang with the young kids on the track these days. So I want to get this bike set up for trail riding. And as part of that, I wanted to get some handguards, so I found some handguards on Amazon for about 20 bucks. And I thought I would do a quick review and install step-by-step video for this. Now, let's take a look at what came in this kit. It came with the guards themselves, some plastic collars. So if you're using smaller diameter bars, I have 1-inch bars on my bike. If you're using something smaller than that, it's got the little collar inserts, so to make the fittings snug up a little better. It came with the brackets that go around the bars, the bolts and splines that go on the inside of the bars, that open up on the inside of the bars, and a metal tube also with splines in it, splits in it, that will expand for the bars. Came with a couple of extra bolts and washers. I'm not quite sure what those are for yet, but there were no installation instructions, but we'll figure it out. It's probably similar to another set that I've had on a previous bike. I do have a video of that, over there. Check it out when you get a chance. In that video, I didn't have a camera and tripod. I shot everything with my phone. It was actually one of my very first videos, and so I wasn't able to do a real true step-by-step. So I will be doing that with this video to make it a little bit easier for you guys to follow along. It came all packaged in just kind of a plastic and tape with a Ziploc bag for the bolts and stuff, and then stuffed in a padded envelope. So not the best packaging, and frankly that set my expectations for this set pretty low. I did buy another knockoff set for my previous bike off of eBay, and it was actually a pretty decent set. I was actually pretty pleased with the performance of that. The handful of times I dumped that bike, those held up. They never bent, they never broke, they never cracked or anything like that. And they worked great for several years. So I was hoping this set, I still hope this set will perform as well as those, but based upon what I'm seeing, I'm not expecting it, to be honest. But if they break, if they don't hold up well, then I'm only out 20 bucks, not a big deal. So let's take a closer look at some of these things, just to kind of give you a sense of the quality and the manufacturing and all of that, and the components used. So here is the handguard. You can see it's got a aluminum rib that runs all the way through, and then a thick polyurethane plastic sort of material on the outside. It is just a little bit pliable, which I think is good, because it will flex a little bit without just breaking and cracking off. At least that's my hope. The aluminum, the quality of the aluminum, it's really hard to tell the quality of the aluminum here. This could just be slag material, I don't know. But if we take a look at a close-up of it, it's okay. You can see the drill marks, for example, where they drilled everything out and then opened it up. It's okay. It's not like super precise. They do bevel the edges on the outside, or the outside attach point but they do not do the same on this side. But this is a slot that gives you a lot of, play back and forth to be able to adjust it. So, it's okay. I wouldn't say, the other set I think was better that I had. Looking at the clamps themselves, I actually find the clamps very disappointing. I don't expect much out of these things at all, honestly. They are not rounded off on the edges, so these things will scuff up the bars if they slip and slide. I will probably throw down some electrical tape or something just to try and protect the bars a little bit. The bolts and screws look very soft. I'm guessing that if you over tighten these things, the heads are going to snap off on them. So, initial impressions are not super high with this set. Kind of disappointing, but it's only 20 bucks. The way these things work then, obviously, these just go around the bars and clamp in to this piece right here on the set. And then for the outside ones that go into the throttle tube or the handlebar tube, you've got a 3-piece setup here. So you've got a nut here that is tapered, and then it has some ridges on it. I don't know if you can see that right there or not, but there's a ridge right there. We've got a long bolt with an Allen key on the end, and then we've got a keyed tube insert that has splines in it, or splices in it. And so the way this goes is, if you look, there is a cutout right there on the bar. That's where this thing sits, basically in that cutout to keep it from turning. Then that goes in like that, and now your nut goes on it with the tapered end going in like that, and you tighten it up just enough to where it locks in. And now as you tighten this outside bolt down, it pulls the nut in, and then these splines open up and end up grabbing the inside of your handlebar tube. So that's what keeps these things secure. Now, it looks like this metal tube, because you got a fairly large opening, in order for these things to open up all the way to grab that inside tube, it would open up quite a bit. So I think that's what this piece is for. So that, I think, goes around like that, and with the same splines facing in the same direction, that pushes the whole thing open to grab the inside of the bars. I am probably going to put some sort of, because this is a really smooth finish, and so I think it needs to be roughed up a little bit, so I'll probably rough that up a little bit just so that it's got something to grab on the inside of the bars. But yeah, we'll see how this does. So let's get on to the installation portion of this video and see how this thing comes together. Okay, so the first step to putting these handguards on is to figure out where you need to put the clamp. So here's your clamp, clamps onto the bar and holds the front end of the handguard. Now there is a left and right clamp, so do be aware of that, because if you look, one side is shorter than the other. The other side is definitely longer. And that's the part that needs to come off the front of the handlebars. The other thing you'll notice, there is a top and bottom. See how this one is beveled? So that's where the screw sits. And it's just a number 4mm Allen key for the screw and a number 10mm for the locking nut. And so I went ahead and marked that already, and I put some electrical tape down so that it doesn't mar up my bars, so it doesn't scratch the bars. And now I'm just going to pop this in there. And to make my life a little bit easier, what I've done is I've got a socket with the number 4mm Allen key on it, and I just put it on an extension because I don't have a nut driver that'll fit this. Now this hardware, I gotta tell you, I'm not impressed with this hardware at all. It's, I mean, for, I don't know, the 20 bucks I spent, $23 I think is what I spent on them. You know, it's fine, but I'm guessing that this hardware is probably not gonna last very long. It feels like even if I over tighten them, things are gonna snap, but we'll see. All right, so now next we're gonna cut off the end of this grip, and we're gonna clean out the end of this. Now these are ODI grips, and so I do want to be careful as I'm doing this, because I don't want to mess up my throttle action here. We're gonna just trim off the edge right here. And basically, we're gonna clean it all the way out till we get to the actual bar itself. Okay, that should be pretty good right there. I'm going to clean a little bit of that back right there. I can see the end of the bar right here. Yeah, I'm going to bind up, so I'm going to have to slide this whole throttle assembly in just a hair to get to the edge of the bar, so that the shaft is riding up against the bar itself and not against the throttle tube. So let me give you a close-up of this and show you how I'm going to move this throttle assembly forward. Okay, there's two pieces that have to be moved. There's the brake reservoir. That is a separate piece. This is all one piece that needs to slide forward this way a little bit. And then here's the throttle tube, and there's a boot over the throttle tube. And if you pull it back like so, you can see here is a screw, and there's another one down here that I have to loosen up, and that'll allow me to slide this whole thing forward. So the first thing I'm going to do is slide this forward. So let me go grab some wrenches and do that now. So for the brake reservoir, that is an 8mm. Now that frees that up so I can actually move this forward a little bit. And the kid that owned this bike didn't know much about working on them, and it looks like he might have stripped that out. Right tool for the right job, folks. Right tool for the right job, or you end up breaking stuff. I think that's going to have to do, and I'm just going to have to take it down the rest of the way with the Dremel, because this isn't going to slide much further. Alright, so we're pretty good here. You can see it sits pretty flush. I've got good snap on the throttle. It's not a beautiful job. I probably went a tad a little bit more with the Dremel than I would have liked. My preference would have been to slide the whole throttle tube forward, but the kid that I bought this from stripped out the screws, so I couldn't loosen that bottom one up. So we're gonna have to just go with that. But let me finish putting this side on. Okay, so you do have a really tight fit here, so you won't be able to get these things necessarily perfectly adjusted because that brake line does get in the way. But you just kind of have to play with it a little bit to figure out how far up and down, you know, how far up you want the brake lever handle and how far down you want the handbar guards to still give you the coverage you need to protect your knuckles and all that kind of stuff and still allow fit. It's a really tight fit. The part of the problem is you can't really adjust the brake line because there's a couple of notches that this thing sits in, and so you can't really adjust the brake line up and out of the way. Plus you don't have a whole lot of room to do that anyway, so non-ideal fitment. It's getting harder and harder for me to recommend these handbar guards, but we're gonna try and make them work as I'm doing it. So here's a close-up. You can see I've got the fin right there lined up with that spline, and as I tighten it, it slides in here, and you can see this whole thing starting to open up as that nut goes further in, right? Just like that. So we're gonna feed that in there like that. That does not seem to be tightening down. I'm getting pretty far into that nut, so I may need to wrap something around that so it grabs better, because it's not grabbing at all. Yeah, not impressed. I will be replacing these after the first time they break. I'll probably pick up a better set.
And for the manufacturer, if you're watching this, guys, you guys can do better than this, man. This is not great work. Yeah, I went all the way to the end of that thing, and they still weren't grabbing. Now, I know what they're going to say. They're going to tell me that I should have used this, but they don't fit in the bars. So this is just crap, doesn't do you any good. So I got to wrap that. Okay, so in an effort to try and figure out how to make this thing work, I can't return it. I checked on the Amazon thing, and because I bought this more than 30 days ago, I can't return it. So I'm just trying to figure out a way to make it work. So what I'm doing is I'm wrapping it in electrical tape, and then to give it a little bit more thickness so it won't have to expand as far to grab the tube walls. And then to allow it to expand, I've went ahead and put some slits down the side so that way it can open up and the electrical tape doesn't constrict it too much. So we're going to try that. Let's see if this works. There we go. All right, let's see if this thing tightens up now. That seems to be working. All right, that seems on there pretty snug. I got clearance for my brake lever, and so there's one side done. I do need to bleed my brakes because as I was trying to adjust things, I did loosen up the brake line and got some air in it, so I'm going to have to bleed that out. And I need to put a couple of zip strips on here, and we should be good with this side. So let's get the other side done. Okay, we're going to do the other side. I'm going to again trim this off. We're going to take our Dremel, we're going to open this thing back up again. Okay, and it looks like this plastic sticks way far out on this side. So we are going to loosen up and slide everything in some. Got it flush. Might be easier just to leave the levers loose while you put the guards in place. I need to wrap this thing so that it will tighten up against the bars. So I'm going to do that right now. I want to make sure I get that nut started right down the spline so it won't spin as I'm tightening it down. I should be able to feed that in, just like that. All right, so now I can tighten everything up, kind of get positioned about where I want it. So there's the finished installation. Here it is from the other side. Okay, so there you go. That's the installation process for putting on these sort of barkbuster style handguards, these wraparounds. This was a $20 set off of eBay. It's 20 bucks. I would have returned them if I could because I think there was just, I think just some of the design hardware is just kind of crap. The ones that I picked up for my WR were actually surprisingly good that I got off of eBay, and I think those were about 30 bucks. And they held up really good. I can't say the same for these. I don't know how well they're going to hold up, but we'll find out once we get out onto the trail. But there you go. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. All that kind of stuff that you normally hear on everybody's videos. And we'll see you next time. So thanks for watching.
Bye.